Hello and welcome back to another episode of Let's Play LOTRO with me, Balthelion. So today we find ourselves in the Gap of Rohan, where we're on the eastern side of things. We're in Grimbold's camp, which is this camp just on the west of the Fords of Isen. A location that is going to be referenced quite a bit in the game and is also referenced quite a bit in the books. So to the west of us is the Heathfells and the Isendale, so we haven't actually quested in there. We have to come to Grimbold first, speak to him. And I think the other guy that I'm vectored to, is he in this camp or the other camp? Bring reveal news. Yeah, the other one's in the first camp, in the Heathfells camp. So we're going to speak to them. They're going to send us back out into the Heathfells and the Isendale. We'll be questing around these two regions. Wolf's Cleft on the far left-hand side. We've talked about that before. We did raid that and briefly set fire to the encampment and kind of decimate the Dunlendings that were trying to gather there to muster and support Saruman. But they sadly haven't been completely wiped out. They're quite happily rebuilding with just set back production of their siege weapons and stuff. So we can't actually get into that valley. They have blocked it off. So we're going to question these two regions and then we'll be off to Nan Krunir. So we are in this encampment where we've just come in the front door over there. There is a stable master in both this camp and the other camp in the Gap of Rohan. We're basically just going to run all the way up the top and speak to Grimbold, who's in kind of like the commander's tent up the top, the bit posh bit. But this is the first time. I mean, obviously we've met a couple of Rohirrim NPCs, including Fëanor himself as one of the very first. But this is the first time, unless you stopped at the other camp, where you're actually starting to see some Rohirrim stuff going on. So we've got obviously all these cool tents with like the horse emblems and so on and so forth. But we haven't kind of broke it down at this point into different lords and thanes and their various peoples of the different factions. So Grimbold here is a cool looking dude. Check out that mane. Look at that hair. That's pretty amazing. I swear he looks different to how he used to look, actually. They might have changed it, actually. Because I swear they've given him a slightly more ornate armour and appearance than he used to. So maybe they went back and updated him when they were working on West Rohan, perhaps. But I can't say I've really noticed that before. So Grimbold was one of the pretty high-ranking commanders in the army of Rohan. I'm trying to think, because in the films they didn't have Grimbold. They had or did they have Grimbold? I remember there's two of them in the Two Towers, and one of them got brutally murdered really quickly by the wargs. I think Grimbold might be still in there. I don't know. It's been a while since I've watched the films or whatever, but he certainly is referenced quite a bit. So let's speak to him. So we have to take the epic quest to him. The other vector quest we've got is in the other camp, but he's going to give us some quests around this camp as well. So book 5, chapter 2.
Fëanor has come back to us from his study of the Dunland clans.
Fëanor has returned to us from his study of the Dunlending clans, and his news is worrying. He tells me you are the elf who escaped from Isengard and spoke of the army you saw being trained. We will need your help if we are to hold this crossing against Saruman Pendulous. He commands both Dunlendings and Uruks, and we must keep all of them on this side of the river, out of Rohan. Familiarise yourself with the situation here, friend. Find the map table southeast of here, in the camp, to see where we plan the movement of our forces. I would also like to speak with Trumbold on the road north of the camp to learn what he has seen there today. Speak also to Kinstan, Fëanor's esquire, on the western bank of the Isen, south of here. He has been running messages back and forth across the ford as needed. Basically, he's the scrub that has to get his feet wet. Once you are done with these things, friend, find Fëanor somewhere in the camp. He is reacquainting himself with the situation here as well. So we've got 3 objectives here, and we've got one more quest. Pendulous, I have heard many dark tidings regarding the purpose and plans of Saruman the White. Long has he been a friend to the Rohirrim, and even now holds much sway in the Golden Hall, but I cannot allay my fears any longer. So obviously he's still got his favour in the Golden Hall of Meduseld, because obviously Grima's kind of whispering sweet nothings into Fëanor's ear, and is kind of poisoning the king's mind to make him think that Saruman's still a cool dude, despite the fact that he's, you know, commanding armies of orcs and uruks, as you do, because that's not suspicious. If Saruman has indeed turned against us and allies himself with the likes of the Dunlendings and even orcs and goblins, then we must know. Yet I am bound by the strict command of Theoden King not to trespass upon the vale of Nan Curinir to the north, where lies Isengard. Will you go in our stead and learn the purpose and strength of Saruman, that we may know the depths of his treachery before it is too late? I think you will find a friend near the valley. So he's telling us to go scout and confirm that Saruman's a baddie after we've been imprisoned, and he knows we've been imprisoned. But whatever. Don't take my word for it. Make me go back and take my word for it a second time. So we've got that guy. Then if we step outside, we're going to have obviously exploration deeds for both the Isendale and Heathfells, which I've actually found a couple of locations for each one, because obviously the two encampments will count. The map table we needed to find, wasn't it? So this table is used by the Rohirrim to plan their strategy and movements. So we can't interact with this just yet, but we'll be able to eventually. And if you see that they actually have a map of the Gap of Rohan, which is the same as our map there. And they've also got a map of the Ring of Isengard, which again is going to be very similar to what we've got on our map. So the last thing we need to do is find... Oh no, we've got two things. We've got Trumbold on the road north and Kinstan on the west bank. So what we're going to do is mount up, probably. That's probably a bit quicker. And then we're going to head just south out of here and then eastwards over to the fords. Well, this is relatively shallow water. The Rohirrim have fortified it a little bit with a couple of barricades that they can get behind. Dunlending Raider just casually watching my dude here. Hello, Kinston.
Oh, hello there. I'm Prince Theodred's esquire.
Hail! You must be Pendulous. I am Kinston, and I am the Prince's esquire. I help him with his armour and his steed, and with anything else he needs doing, like trudging through this muddy water. Right now he has me bringing messages back and forth across the ford, getting the men on the other side organised for the defence of the bank. Someone has taken one of my braces, and I think they have hidden it somewhere. It is their idea of a jest, I suppose. Nay, do not bother looking for it. It will turn up eventually. So basically they're picking on the squire. And the last guy we need is to the north, but in order to reach him we need to go back to where the entrance of the camp was, which is over here at this crossroads. And then we're going to turn northwards, and basically this road will now lead us into the valley of Nan Curinir. The other point of interest that we will be interested in later on is there is a cave up in this hill directly in front of us. So we're able to get up this hill over here to the left of this big rock and go around the back to get around there. But that is... it was a fun cave back in the day, because the interior of that is quite a large space and it never used to have an interior map, and it used to confuse people because it's quite a lot of vertical space. You're walking across like bridges and stuff, and people got lost very easily. So here we go then. Here's Trumbold, and he's not allowed to step into the valley, but he's allowed to watch. So what's he saying?
Saruman does have an army. He's keeping it inside Isengard for now.
Things have been quiet on the road for several days now. If Saruman does have an army, he is keeping it inside Isengard for now. I think those must just be tales after all. Trumbold looks at you curiously. Were you really imprisoned by Saruman? There have been some arguments among the men about it. You nod and tell them briefly of your stay within the Ring of Isengard. Yes, stay in a prison cell. And of your escape. His face falls at your tale. How many orcs did you say? By the Hammerhand, he does have an army. So there we go, we spoke to all these people. We need to find a friend in Nan Curinir, which we're not going to do yet. We're going to wait until we're actually questing inside Nan Curinir. So we will ignore this quest just for now. But that will be one of our ranger friends that we meet back up with. So we need to talk to Theodred in Grimbold's camp. There's a couple of Rohirrim guys over here just practicing some combat and some riding skills. Now there is only one way into this camp. It is fortified on all other sides because obviously they don't want to be ambushed by Dunlendings. So we have to come in via the southwestern side, over here. There we go. Fairdred. Is he up on the top or is he on the east side? I can't remember. You're not showing up on my map? Where are you, sir? You are hiding. You're actually near the gate. There you are. I ran straight past you. You're underneath the Forge Master.
I am devising a plan. Once all is ready, I want you to be a part of it.
I am devising a plan, Pendulous, and once all is made ready, I want you to be a part of it. I am glad you have come. I would have welcomed any of your ranger friends as well, but I understand that they have their own mission, and I wish them well in it. Enough talk. It is time to strengthen my forces. They will have need of strength in the days to come.
We know that Saruman has a much larger force of Uruks than we do of men.
From what you have said, we know that Saruman has a much larger force of Uruks than we do of men. Grimbold estimates that each one of us is worth at least 20 Uruks, but he is from Grimslade, and the men of that place are not known for their mastery of numbers. Basically, he fails at maths. I fear he underestimates the savagery of Saruman's forces, and then there are the hostile Dunland clans to consider. Athelard has gone to the Eot in the middle of the river to train some of the men. They have seen less combat than the others, and they have much to learn if they are to be of help during a real battle. Go help him, and help him train these youths. Yes, sir. We shall mount up. And train some guys in the middle. So I think we have the choice of what type of people we train. We can train warriors or archers. But they should be in different clusters in the middle. And I can't remember, I think we have to train like 2 or 3 guys. It might have to be one of each. I don't know whether we have to train a warrior and an archer, or we'll soon find out. So yeah, got a couple of footmen and a couple of archers.
These men need to be stronger. I need to make them stronger.
These men need to be stronger. We are the only defense between Saruman's evil and the people of Rohan. I need to make them stronger. Find a warrior and an archer and fight with them, Pendulous. Perhaps your example will teach them something. So we need one footman and 1 archer. Anyone will do. Hello, sir.
I am ready to show you the strength of my arm.
He's ready to show me the strength of his arm. Have you been training that arm, sir? Is it your right arm or your left? I am ready to show you the strength of my arm, Pendulous. I have sharpened my skills against many of my kinsmen. Let me now sharpen them further. I am ready for you, champion. I don't know if some of these guys might have higher morale pools than the others anyway. But either way, like a 10k guy, it's not really much to us at this point in the game. There we go. We don't have to take him all the way down anyway, because we don't actually want to kill him. You have bested me, friend. Thank you for the training. So now we need an archer.
If you believe you can best me in training, prove it is so.
I have been the victor in many competitions, Pendulous. Few can boast as swift as an arrow, or as true. If you believe you can best me in training, prove it is so. War is not a competition, sir. My arrows fly true and will prove superior. I don't need arrows, because while you're trying to shoot arrows at me, I'm just going to stab you with a sword. And it's not even a training sword, it's a real sword, and it's very sharp. Probably extra sharp because it was made by elven smiths. You have bested me, friend. There we go. Speak back to Athelard.
Well, what do you think of their abilities?
Well, what do you think of their abilities? Are they made of stern enough stuff to stand against the forces of Saruman you beheld within Isengard? He takes one look at me and he breathes heavily. They will have to do. You should find Rungar and help him with the training of his riders. He is just to the north of Grimbold's camp. So those were the Rohirrim horsemen that we saw earlier. I don't know why those quest rings are still lit up behind me, but there's nothing I can do there. So once again, we need to ride west over here to the crossroads, then head north. But not as far north this time, because they're just in the valley just to the north of the camp. And we're going to help some of the Rohirrim riders over there just do a bit of horseback training now. So we've done some sword training, we've done some archer training. Now do some horseback. We're going to help them throwing nets at people, if I remember correctly. So here's Rungar, one of the other lieutenants.
My men are practicing a technique to help them fight from horseback.
My men are practicing a technique to help them fight from horseback, a technique that will snare their opponents. With careful aim, my men can ensnare their enemies' legs with a thrown net. It will then keep the foeman from attacking until our footmen can close the distance. Gather up the nets they have already thrown and bring them to me, Pendulous, and I will give them to new riders. This is something they must master if we are to be as effective as we must be. So there you go, they're throwing nets at these little training dummies that have been arranged here. I'm going to have to dismount to pick these up. We need to collect 4 nets. I think there's literally only 4 available. As always, turning on floating names will help you spot them if you can't see them too easy. So gather the 4th one, then speak back to Rungar. I think he sends us then back to Feardred.
Very good. Their skill throwing the nets is improving with each pass.
Very good. Their skill throwing the nets is improving with each pass. Once they have mastered it, we will be better prepared to face any unmounted foe that comes. Feardred will wish to see you. He is somewhere in the camp to the south, I expect. Tell my prince that the riders are becoming more skilled at the technique he suggested, and that I will have some craftsmen working on more nets. Okay, sir. It's a shame you can't get in the back door there, because they have got a gate there, it's just always shut. But alas, we have to run the long way round. So we speak to Feardred. And at some point we should be vectored... I don't know whether we get vectored westward with the epic, or whether the epic goes straight to Nancruni. I can never remember.
We need every man to be ready, for what I have in mind is dangerous.
Your news is welcome, my friend. We need every man to be ready, for what I have in mind is dangerous. But the reward, should we prevail, could be significant. If we wait until Saruman's army is ready, we cannot hope to hold the ford against him. We do not have the men. Your report on the size of Saruman's forces has it much larger than I feared. If we can catch him before he is ready, we might strike such a blow that his force will be sent into disarray. He is wise, yes, and is the wise man not cautious? He will see that we have taken him by surprise, and he will retreat behind his walls, and he will continue to grow his army until he is certain we cannot oppose him. Every day that goes by is a day in our favour. The size of his army is of no account as long as it stays within Isengard. Let it stay there forever. We must make him uncertain enough of his success that he never moves it. That is my proposal. If you are willing to help us, Grimbold has asked that you ride with him. So, continue. Let's find Mr. Grimbold.
Prince Theodred's plan is a daring one, but there is wisdom in it.
Prince Feardred's plan is a daring one, but there is wisdom in it. He is like his father in this. He does not shy away from using his strength where it is necessary. I would like you by my side during this daring strike, Pendulous. We will plant the seed of doubt in Saruman's mind, and he will think twice before sending his army forth.
Prince Theodred's plans are set forth on the map table.
So there we go. He's going to
Dawn.
He's going to set forth some plans. It's going to be a multi-stage plan, which is going to be outlined on the map table. But I'm worrying that we might be getting a bit ahead of ourselves, and maybe we should go back and do some landscape quests elsewhere in the region before we advance the epic too far. Since this is going to now push us kind of into Nancruni itself. So I think we might pause the epic for now. But this is probably a good stopping point anyway, so we'll stop here. Next time we will pick up with some landscape quests, and then we'll come back to the epic in a few episodes in the future. So that's all for now then, and I hope you guys have enjoyed that, and until next time, I will see you later.